Okay. 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 Perfect. So, let's see. Okay. So, I had this idea suddenly. Like, why don't I, I analyzed, I kept analyzing, and you probably know, and everyone probably knows that South Korea is experiencing a lot of problems, a lot of really difficult things, questions that don't have answers, and the answers usually are, there is this video from, in a nutshell, the Kurzgesagt, wherever this channel that does infographics and animations, and it explains it pretty well. So I'm just gonna pull it up actually. In a nutshell, Korea is doomed. I think it was like that. Huh? Videos. Let me just find it. Kurds.
South Korea
I think it's this one. Says South Korea is over.
is over.
Yeah. So first, to to understand a little bit of background, I know I've seen this video. I've lived in Korea for almost 9 years by now, because I came in 2016 to study, and since then things really were going downhill from that point. I remember things like basic products, something to drink was like, soft drink was around 1001 at that time. Now it's 2000, more than 2001. So the inflation is really screwing us, making our lives more difficult. But from the perspective of really just like societal perspective, not government perspective, not economic perspective, why is South Korea failing? I have a little bit of different. I have quite a different view from people who haven't spent 9 years in this country as a foreigner. I am a foreigner, and I have actually a very interesting viewpoint. So I'm all over the place right now, but I'm trying to organize my thoughts, because I really just started the stream without any scenario, without any script, just really trying to brainstorm things and trying to put everything I have in my head right now on paper, because it's such a complex issue. People are taking, different stances, different positions from different perspectives. So I understand naturally it's a very difficult and complex problem. And I was once asked by one of my acquaintances, namely Tiger Cho, on a podcast. He was like, "Why do you think that the problem persists? What's the problem exactly?" And back then, I thought I answered that I don't know. I don't know exactly, but the fact is, I actually do know. It just takes a lot of time to describe all aspects of this problem, and it requires another podcast or another completely separate mindset, completely separate time frame to analyze just this problem alone. Yeah, because it's so multifaceted. So what caught my attention was reading the comments, and yeah, people saying things like, "I'm Korean born and raised, blah blah blah," and then yeah, this is a crisis of spirit. This very heartbreaking moment for Koreans, and me as ethnically Korean, to know that my historical birthplace, even though it's not my factual birthplace, is experiencing such difficulties. And I'm living here. I love this country, and I wanted to, to prosper. Yeah, I have my asses here. I have so many fond memories here. I graduated university here. I went to masters here. All my career path is here. So I've been living all my adult life after I graduated from high school. I've been living in Korea. So I obviously do care a lot about this country, and but at the same time I have a different perspective. So where I come from, Kazakhstan, the country doesn't have any demographic problems. In fact, it's like the demography is getting better and better. It's growing. So I'm trying to bring my perspective into this because I'm fluent in English, as you may have noticed, and that's why I consume a lot of content, a lot of perspective. I see a lot of perspective from like from the West, so I can adopt. I'm in such a unique position that I stand on convergence of three cultures, which is Korean, the Western culture, and Russian-speaking culture, and maybe even four, like the Middle Asian, like Central Asian culture too. So former Soviet Union, but Kazakhstan is like very different mentality from Russian, and Russian mentality is very different from the West, and the West mentality is completely different from Korean mentality. So it's like all over the place, and what I realized is that I don't necessarily like attribute myself, attach myself to one specific location. I would feel comfortable in any location, but I feel very comfortable in Korea, and I love this country. So I'm getting a little bit repetitive, so let me get to the gist of it. The problem is I saw a couple interesting comments saying that I'm not sure if I can find it here, but one person pointed out that Koreans, it's a little bit frustrating that Korean comments just say, yeah, it's done, we're done, we're doomed, that's it, we can't do anything. And it is really frustrating, and I agree with that comment because there is always some kind of solution, as long as like the problem is not final, as long as it's not like irreversible. And I don't think it's irreversible. It's like it's over, but it's over from the statistic perspective, and it's over from the perspective of like from this video, it's over from the perspective of logics, like just the logic itself. But the logic is founded on the previous experiences of other countries and statistical models. And what I don't think that people understand about Korea is that this country has tremendous potential to pull some wonders, to pull some complete miracles out of their sleeves. Remember the crisis, the Wall Street crisis? I think it was in 90s when Korean society was just bailed out their chaebol companies, their major companies, from a huge debt pit because they just sacrificed their own like assets, their own gold. They just threw their rings inside the banks and everything just to bail themselves out, to bail the country, not even the country, the companies out of this crisis. So Korea is a unique country in that sense that once the people unite around one single idea, they can pull off miracles, like complete miracles. So that's why it's called the miracle of Han River, the Asian leap tiger, and whatever you call it, like the prosperous state of society that Korea is enjoying right now. So it's again like one other crisis that Korea is facing, but I'm pretty sure there is a solution, and I know the solution. It's just that the solution is, I think I have an idea of the solution. Let me not be too cocky about it, but I think that the solution is so difficult, so complex, and lies completely outside of the current scope of focus. So people are focused on this, policies from the government. They're focused on economic situation. They're focused on societal situation. But I think that the solution lies not there. They focus like on all kinds of different aspects, and good for them. I respect that. You have to focus on different kinds of aspects. But I think that all the different aspects, they stem from one single point or maybe several single points. And what I aim with this video, with this stream, is to get to this root cause of this current crisis. And I'm a little bit ahead of myself, but I'm projecting that this crisis stems from one single start point, which is absence of inner peace. It sounds really vague, but it really is it really is an essential concept for people to have some kind of inner peace, to have some kind of like tranquility inside their mind, to understand that it's not final, that they can change something, that they can do something, that they can enjoy life even though it doesn't seem enjoyable. And people here in the comments, they are, if you consider this, you can see this vague outline, this outline of like what the problem is on the individual level. Because on societal level, of course, we can talk about policies, we can talk about people like having politicians focusing too much on targeting the older layers of society and not focusing on the young ones. There are a lot of there are a lot of comments about this. For example, here, yeah. So this comment, for example, is saying that we chase impossible ideals, academic success, perfect careers, flawless looks. Well, yes, you do chase it. Koreans do chase it, but we have to remember that, only 1% of people get to Sky Universities. So talking about Sky Universities, talking about like Koreans only being focused on that is not doing justice to Korean people. It's not correct, because 99% of people in Korea didn't go, like more than 90% didn't go to Sky Universities. They didn't go to the best companies and everything, and they are still like enjoying their lives, and they're chasing some goals, yes, but they're not chasing the best necessarily, because some people really just want to start their startups, and there are a lot of startups in Korea. And my manager, for example, he's a graduate of not a Sky University, but he's a very high standing, professional at our company. So he's enjoyed good life. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he doesn't chase those goals like other people who went to Sky University and everything. So it's really like tunnel vision on what, every single person tunnel visions on something. And so what I want to avoid is tunnel vision, like tunneling on one single idea. Another comment here: I feel bad that all Korean comments, yeah, that's the comment I was talking about. I feel bad that all Korean comments in this video are like, yeah, we already know, but we can fix it. Society and politicians are not into it. Yes, I agree with this comment. It's like, don't give up, man. Don't give up, people. Why are you giving up? It's like, sometimes I feel that giving up is like a feeling that we're doomed is a very easy solution that lies on the surface. Like, yeah, we're just doomed, so I'm just going to enjoy my life, my 60 years on this earth, like remaining 60 years or 70 years if I'm lucky, and then it's done. No, you have to focus, you have to take responsibility, you have to take ownership of this problem. Yes, we have to step up. Like, even if foreigners, as many comments here mention, even if foreigners are stepping up and giving light to this problem of Korea, South Korea, then Koreans should also step up. Because even if foreigners are concerned about this, well, what is there to say about Koreans? Koreans should be confirmed doubly so. Concerned doubly so. So yeah, some other comments that are noteworthy, things like, yeah, like this, for example, the simple algorithm of this problem. It is one side of this problem. So why I think many people are confused, why I think Koreans themselves are confused about what's going on in their country, is because there is always one initial point, or maybe several initial points that span all other problems. They just start everything else. So they're the root problems, the root causes. So what I'm trying to get to is this root problem. What people don't see is they define this root problem as we are failing. We are failing. They define this as the root problem. No, the root problem, this is the cause. This is actually the last stage. So we are failing stage should be somewhere on the outskirts. It should be like somewhere here. Like we are failing. Yeah, it's just one of the things that happen because of this root cause. What I think is necessary to do right now, I'm not sure if I can finish it in one stream, but what is necessary to do is to map out all major problems that stem from this single or maybe several root problems, and then consolidate them together. So put them together, see where they're coming from, constantly ask yourself and the nation and other people, constantly ask them why. We have to use this potential of the why question to get to the root cause. So we're failing. Okay, let's say we're failing. Let's just map out. Let's just throw things that I see in Korea right now that are happening. So relationship crisis. Relationship crisis is one of the major problems. Because according to that video again, or maybe another video, I'm not sure, like I've seen so many videos at this point, and I agree to with most of them, but I also disagree with like the tunnel vision that they're providing. So relationship crisis, it's rampant. It's about 60% of young people aged between 19 and 35. Like more than 50%, like, that's for sure, they are out of relationship and they don't want to be in a relationship too. So this is a relationship crisis. Maybe the numbers are a little bit different. I don't want to fact check it, but I see it from my first-hand experience. Just take it with a grain of salt. But what I'm seeing is relationship crisis. That's, yeah, people here in Korea, they're just having a lot of problems with finding someone they care about, and making sure that it's something serious, that it has the potential. So this relationship crisis actually maybe it doesn't belong with we are failing here, so I'm just going to erase the we are failing thing. Relationship crisis stems from several problems. So the several underlying problems is relationship crisis is a problem because the next problem is no marriage. So the next problem after relationship crisis is no marriage, and people usually confuse it. They say, oh, because, you know, we have less marriage, that's why we have relationship crisis or stuff like that. But no, it's because you don't have stable relationships at scale, at large in Korea. You don't have enough marriages to create enough families. I believe I saw a statistic that there were just as many new marriages registered for the ages between 20 and 30 as there were for the people aged between 40 and 50. So just to give you like an understanding, it's like this statistic says number of marriages for people less than 30 years old and more than 20 years old. Well, how do I depict that? Let me just say between 20-year-old and aged between 20-year-old and 30-year-old equals number of marriages for people aged between 40 and 50. So there is not a lot of marriages for people between 40 and 50. It's kind of like, yeah, it's natural. It's a little bit late to, you know, to be in the first marriage and stuff like that. But that's the worst part about it, that the number of marriages for people aged between 20-year-old and 30-year-old went down so much that it became equal with the number of marriages for people between 40-year-old and 50-year-old. That was one part, like one statistic that I remembered because it was so shocking to me. It was like, wow, okay, we reached this point. It's pretty bad. So let me just minimize it and put it here as like one side note. Yeah, so we have no marriages, which leads to no kids. And I'm not going to go, you know, deep into why no kids is a problem. No kids is always a problem. You don't have young people, you don't have anyone to work. Yeah, no kids. After the no kids, well, I'm not going to elaborate. There are a lot of problems from not having kids. But let's just make it the final point. Like, yeah, that's the one point like that we really take notice of. That we really notice. So most people noticed this crisis after they noticed that the birth rate is 0.72. So let me just point it out. Birth rates as low as not even 0.72, it was 0.69 at some point or something like that. So that's where people started talking about this problem of, you know, Korea having, you know, failing demographic. And if you go to YouTube and see just a random video talking about the problem of Korea, like, you will probably see this statistic a lot, like birth rate. I wish I could do like a video roll of all the moments from all the videos that I've seen with this exact like statistic. The birth rate as low as 0.69, birth rate as low as 0.72. The replacement rate should be 2.1, to just sustain the population. I wish I could do that, but this is stream, so you will have to do with this diagram. That's the only thing I can provide you right now. Yeah, so relationship crisis leads to no marriage, which leads to no kids, which leads to a birth rate as low as 0.69. Well, this is not a starting point. There is always a why behind the relationship crisis. Like, why do we have a relationship crisis? And here things get interesting. So, but before we go into why, let's just map out several other problems. So what we have here is policies catering old people. Policies catering old people. Well, actually, I can map out right now more older people. More old people. And this leads to policies focusing on old rather than young, and that has the following problem, that young have no voice, no leverage, because from politicians' standpoint it really makes it it's really like a no-brainer that, well, policies have to cater to the most, to the most numerous layer of society, which is in Korea the older people. It's a very easy move, and it's very difficult to win the support of all this electorate of all the people of that could potentially vote for you if you don't cater to their needs. So if you don't increase pensions, if you don't promise something like, oh, you old people, I'm gonna take care of you, then all people are not gonna vote for you, and then it's gonna be a problem because, well, you're not gonna have enough votes. That's why all politicians promise all kinds of benefits to all people. And with the upcoming election on June 3rd, I see that happening, like, already. I don't even have to look there to to look at each politician's like election campaign to know that they're trying to appeal to older layers of society naturally. So young have no leverage. And the problem that causes, like, that this thing causes, the next step, young have no leverage, no country for young men. Well, let's just say not men, but young people. I just wanted to make a reference to No Country for Old People, or for old men. I believe that's the name of the movie, but let's just say No Country for Young People. Yes, No Country for Young People. This is the final stage. Like, I don't have to elaborate why this is bad. No Country for Young People. If you don't care about your young people, you're not gonna have them in your country. You are gonna die out. You are gonna die out. That's it. This is the final stage. This is the finish line. But before more old people. Well, more old people is kind of like brain dead here too. Like, I can just move it to the side and add another one. We have more old people because we don't have enough kids. So it's kind of like all connected. Well, let me actually connect this. Yeah. So it's kind of all interconnected. No kids, more old people, policies focusing on old, young have no leverage, blah 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 blah. So more old people. Actually, the number of old people doesn't cause the problem. It's more power with old people. That's what causes the problem, really. And this spawns some other problems. Things like, wait, how do I add this? Yeah, more power with old people causes some other problems that old people, if they have more power and more resources, what do old people naturally do in a capitalistic society? They buy property and they extort the resources from young people. So old people get the resources and property from the young. Yeah, and that's a huge problem because the young then, they don't have enough capital. Yeah, just capital. And the young don't have enough capital. That actually contributes to relationship crisis and no marriage. So it goes back all the way here. So it's kind of like no kids causes more power with old people, and then the more power with old people causes the young not have enough capital and not enough relationships. Because if you ask Koreans and if you watch this video, most of them respond that they cannot provide for their significant other half. That's the problem that people are facing. Like, they want to date, they desperately want to date, they all want to be in relationships. Like, Korea is one of the best countries for relationships. It's very romantic. People here have people here are looking good. They're genuinely, like, the girls are hot, the guys are hot too. They're going to gyms, and everyone is like pretty much fit. So it's one of the best countries to date. There are a lot of cute places, there are a lot of places for couples and everything. And you can see couples all the time in the streets. But why is there a relationship crisis? Because you can see a lot of couples, but they break up with each other like that, like just snapping their fingers. It's very easy for couples to break up, and usually they break up due to different reasons. And the relationship crisis is not exactly caused by, I don't think those are connected. Well, no, it's all interconnected, so it's okay. Well, that's why I'm saying it's a difficult problem, because we already have dependencies here that are not linear with each other. Like Nokia's, that leads to more power with all people, but then that leads to relationship crisis. So it's kind of like we already have a cycle here, to be honest. I wish I could just like unattach it and just pull it here somewhere to show the cycle. Oh, that looks ugly. Well, let me just put it like this to show that this is the cycle. This is the full cycle. We've come to the full cycle. Yeah. So what causes all this? That's an interesting question. What causes at least this part of the problem, which is like demography related problem? What causes this? How do I formulate it? Several things cause this problem. So here I have to type several things. How do I do that? Okay, let me just throw these ideas first and then see if I can separate them. Well, what causes more power with old people? Well, this is natural. Like, I don't have to explain what causes more power with old people. Like, they have more benefits, they have more, they have, like, boomers, they have more resources, they worked when it was easier to make money, objectively easier to make money. You didn't have to know Word, you didn't have to know Excel, you didn't have to know all these different types of, like, systems that you currently, like, that people currently use at the companies. Everything was paper-based. I know those times had their own difficulties. They had a lot of difficulties too. But making money at that time was a little bit easier. You could work as 9 to 6 job and get an accommodation, get yourself an apartment, and then once you have an apartment, you can move into that apartment with your family. So at least people back then, even though they weren't working, flashy jobs and all kinds of like, they weren't making millions of dollars. It was sustainable. It was kind of like possible to buy an apartment, and that's why all older people, they have their apartments and they give it, like, the younger people inherit this. To see the scale of the problem, let me just put another statistic here. The scale of the problem with Jan not having enough capital, or maybe like not Jan not having enough capital, but simply like the level of this capital, the level of the threshold just going so up high. To show you the outline of the problem, apartments in Yoido is around $1.2 million. Yeah, that's how much it costs to buy an apartment, which is, the apartment is probably about 200 square feet. Yeah, wait, 200, well, it's no more than 80 square meters, which I don't know how many square feet it is, but like it's about 200 square feet for those, if there is anyone watching from America. But yeah, you don't get much more than that. And you can go and check out the prices. You will not find an apartment which is cheaper than $800,000, which is crazy to me, because even in America, even in the US, you could buy a countryside. Wait, not the countryside. You could buy an apartment in New York for this price. So even in the United States, the prices are nearly the same with 6 times more population. So this is crazy that Korea has one of the highest. Also, another piece of statistics: 1 square meter in Korea, in Seoul specifically, is about $11,000. Yeah, that's how much you pay for 1 square meter. So yeah, this is 80 square meters. Maybe it's 100. Yeah, that's about that. So this is one of the highest prices according to several sources. For example, Moscow, it has the price of $4,500 or $5,500, and Moscow is considered one of the most expensive cities to live in, at least in Central Asia. New York also has like slightly more than 5.5, but it's never as much as 11,000 for 1 square meter. That's crazy. That's just insane. So you basically have to be a millionaire to buy an apartment, not a big apartment to be honest, for your family. So only millionaires marry and have apartments in Korea, because it's kind of like in Korean society, in Korean culture, you have to have an apartment before you marry, or you have to at some point, like, you have to have some kind of like level of income and status in order to to secure the apartment, at least in in long-term perspective. So at least in 5 or maybe 10 years. 10 years is like very long, considered very long in Korean society. At least within 10 years you will get to apartment, like you will get some kind of like accommodation which is yours, not a rent, not a chonse system, which is like a one-time payments, one-time deposit system, but your own apartment, your own accommodation in order to have a family. I'm going to return back to this point later, because I think that this stereotype about, oh, you have to have an apartment, you must have an apartment in order to have a family, this stereotype has to go. It has to end. It's time to stop. This has to be stopped. It's cancer. So I think it's one of the problems that the current Korean society focuses too much on from the perspective of like economy and policies. It doesn't see the underlying issue with the society itself, with people themselves, that it's not mandatory. Like speaking a bit of like ahead of myself, it's not mandatory to have an apartment in order to start a family, but Korean people think it is mandatory to have an apartment or some kind of accommodation, not rent based, or maybe rent but like a bigger apartment, like a good apartment for rent, in order to have a family. No, you can have a family literally anywhere. It's just the level of life is going to be low, yes, the level like is going to be difficult, but it's not as high. Like it isn't mandatory, it's not necessary to have an apartment. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, but let me return back to this problem. More power with old people and relationship crisis. Actually, I wish I could separate this right now, but I don't know how to separate it right now. Wait a second. Oh, what happened? Okay. How to separate this? Because they don't stem from the same thing. Yeah, I'm not sure how to do that, but okay, let me just I will have to redo the diagram, I think. I'm just going to focus on the relationship crisis part. So first, Koreans focus too much on the money aspect of relationships. Oh, it isn't exactly a minus. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying that if you focus too much on the logistics of the relationships, then you are going to think about your relationship like in terms of money all the time. Because yes, we all know in every country around the world, relationships are difficult and relationships are like costly. You spend a lot of money being in a relationship regardless of the country. With local level it might differ, but it's always like percentage wise, it's always kind of the same. Nobody wants to bear the burden of relationship, of paying for dates and everything, especially men. But it's always the same in every country. Like income levels might differ, but percentage wise, it's kind of similar. Yeah, you have to go to a restaurant, and the restaurant usually they align with the local level of income. So even if technically like the Philippines, they have restaurants cheaper than Korea, but they also have income levels cheaper, like lower than Korea. So it's kind of like the same situation everywhere. But why does the Philippines have a bigger, number of relationships that convert to marriage than Korea? And I'm pretty sure they do, because they have good, demography situation, like a much better demographic situation than Korea. So clearly they are doing something differently. I'm not saying it's better, but they're doing something differently. But from the perspective of demographic, it actually is better. Like they're doing something better. And what I think is the government doesn't intervene at this point. The government doesn't tell you to focus on relationship in terms of like money. The government doesn't tell you to love your significant other half because they have a lot of money. There is no such instruction. It comes from somewhere else, so you cannot blame government for doing that. That's why comments like about governments under this video, they only address this part of problem. They only address the upper layer of problem. This level of people simply not having enough relationships and enough like steady relationships to convert them to marriage, that is on individuals. And I hate to bring this news to you, but this is completely on individual level. It's only people's problem. Yes. So why does it happen? Well, I'm going to describe this problem like here. Why did it happen? I'm going to describe it there. Actually, before I go too far, maybe I should change this mind map like to something else, because it's the first time I've opened this mind map and I already cannot delete this connection. How do I do that? Wow, I feel like I'm a boomer. I don't know how to do that. It's crazy. Okay, let me just go all the way back to Mira. Mind map. I think I have to duplicate this and then copy that to another format that I'm more familiar with. Flowchart. I'm more familiar with flowchart. Yeah, let me just put a big note here. Wait, let me make it like as granular as I can first. Okay, now. So we have... Actually, let me just map out things. Bad demographics. Bad demographics. Then we have problems like low happiness level. Then we have issues like... I should have started with this actually. Let me map out the problems that are running rampant in Korean society. Overworking. That's what people have here. Overworking. What else? Bad demographics, low happiness level, overworking. High prices of life. Yeah, high prices of life. I think those four are really big and like major problems, so let me just start with them. Let me just make sure that there is enough distance between them. Yeah, those are end problems that Korean society is facing. And to return back, oh, oh, I think, yeah, this is the key. To like take one step back and see where it does come from. Let me just map out one by one the cause for this problem. Bad demographics, not enough families. Yeah, not enough families, not enough stable families. I would even say stable families. Low happiness level comes from not enough satisfaction with where you are. Because if I was satisfied with where I am, I would not care about what other people think and what they do. I would just be happy about where I am right now, right? So it's a very individual level problem. Like, you can't blame it on anyone else. If you're not happy, it's not because of the government, it's not because of the system, it's not because of anyone else, it's because you are not happy. So this is harsh reality that many Koreans have, like, hate to accept, but they have to at some point, that you are the only one responsible for your happiness. If you're not happy, just go ahead and do something about it. Nobody's gonna help you. And even if somebody was to help you, well, you would still be unhappy regardless, because you would think to yourself, well, I got helped. It wasn't really me saving myself. So yeah, I'm still unhappy. Well, and also, if we remember the level of life in Korea, it doesn't make sense that people here are that much unhappy just because they overwork, and just because, because many people around the world overwork too. Some of the happiest people are some of the people who overwork a lot, like people who are mining minerals in Africa. They're really happy sometimes, but they're mining coal and minerals in Africa, and they're struggling a lot. So why are they happier than Korean people who overwork? Yes, but they do it in the office. It's a white collar job. It's a well paying job, compared to the miner in Africa. And you're living in such a good society, in such a good country, with a lot of, one of the best levels of safety in the world, one of the best public transportations in the world, and stuff like that. So why are you not happy having those things that this guy from the mine in Africa is only dreaming about? That is an individual problem. It's not a system problem. So overworking. Overworking comes, I think, from inability to stand up for yourself. So this causes this overworking, because technically there is no law that allows your manager to just order you to overwork. You could leave at any time. It's just that people are afraid to leave before some kind of thing is achieved, some kind of result is achieved. And why is that? Well, for example, at our company, I leave when it's my time to leave. I leave at 6:30, which is like my contract period, like from 9:30 to 6:30. That's my contract. So I leave at 6:30. I never stay beyond 7 or 7:30. I mean, I stayed a couple times, really late, but that was for store opening kind of procedure, which has to be done in the evening. And the next day I was having half day off because I did that. I stayed until late at night. So company by company is different, and that already proves that overworking is an individual problem too. You always have a choice to leave the company. You always have a choice to stand up to your manager and be protected by law, because you cannot be fired. From law perspective, you cannot be fired legally for you refusing overwork. You cannot be fired. They have to provide the KPI. They have to provide that you're not like some kind of like proof that you are not, doing your work correctly, and only then you can be fired on the grounds of you not being able to complete your job. So this is again an individual standpoint, individual problem. You don't stand up for yourself. That's why you overwork. You're soft. You're a softie. Minis push you around because you're a pushover. That's it. Just stand up for yourself and say once, yeah, I'm not gonna overwork. I cannot do that today, sir, madame. I cannot do that. Maybe they will fire you, yeah, but you won't be overworking anymore. That's that's the upside. Yes, you might lose your job, but then you can go to court and prove that they just fired me because I refused to overwork. That really has nothing to do with my performance. So yeah, the inability to stand up for yourself is the main cause for overworking. It's not that in every country people want, like, managers want you to overwork. It's just that some countries are like, they have the people there are trained to stand up for themselves, and they know their rights, and some countries just don't stand up for themselves and don't know their rights. That's it. It's a culture problem, it's an individual problem, but it's not a system problem, and it's not a policy problem. So high prices of life. High prices of life. High prices of life. I think if I formulate it like this, it's going to go too much into the economy. Economy is really something that cannot be controlled from individual standpoint, on individual level. So high prices of apartment, of property. So these high prices of property, they actually are a part of this bad demographic problem. So they are interrelated. They are interconnected. How do I say that they're interconnected? Okay, let me just say, yeah, that they're interconnected. Yeah, high prices of property, they're the reason for high prices is because the rich get richer, the poor poorer. So what do I mean by that? The rich just buy the property and they rent it out, and you cannot buy it just because it belongs to someone. That's it. Really easy. If everyone is a real estate entrepreneur, then everyone else is a real estate sucker. How do I put it? It's like, yeah, if one is a real estate winner, the rest of the people are real estate losers. It's a zero-sum game, because you cannot own an apartment, cohabitate in an apartment. So if one person owns it, he or she rents it out to you, and you're the tenant, and they are the landlord. So you cannot buy it from them. It's not in the market. If there were more apartments in the market, there would be more, like, the prices would be less, just because the supply would be more. But because rich millionaires, they can continue buying these properties and renting them out, that's why we have this problem. Yeah, it's not only a problem of Korea. If you go to Airbnb, basically, when you go to Airbnb, just remember, every single property listed on Airbnb is one property that didn't go to someone else. So it's one property that's, it belongs to someone who already has another property. That's the problem. Like, the rich, the millionaires, they just buy this property and they rent it out because it's like one form of passive income for them, another form of passive income. I can do that. It's not prohibited by law, so why don't I do that? That's why it becomes a problem, yeah. So we can't really do anything about this problem as long as we're living in a capitalistic society. Yes, we cannot do anything because, well, yeah, everyone is allowed to buy whatever they want as long as they have the money. So I think it's not really necessary to untangle this point, like what to do about it, how to do it. It's just, yeah, make enough money to buy yourself an apartment and then consider maybe buying another one. But remember, if you buy an apartment, then somebody else gets, like, doesn't get to buy it. It's one less apartment in the market. And if a million people does it, a million apartment less are in the market. So like the number of apartments is like 1 million less than it should have been if nobody bought another additional property. So yeah, so this one is like a dead end. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. This is final. We're not going to elaborate on this. The inability to stand up for yourself. That is an interesting one, because so we're trying like here to reverse engineer why this is happening. The inability to stand up for yourself stems from, I am tempted to say mentality, but mentality is like not exactly the word. Like Korean mentality is resilient. It's not like it's not a slave mentality. It's a resilient mentality. Yeah, Koreans were always the ones to revolt against injustice, like to point out injustice. So it's not really about being like, oh yeah, our mentality is so weak, we have to bow to everyone. No, it's not like that. Koreans speak their mind freely whenever they feel injustice. What I think here, there are different reasons actually. That's why I'm struggling to formulate it. Let me just separate. So one reason is fear of consequences. So fear of consequences is one reason. When you try to stand up to your boss, you know that there are going to be consequences. So it's easier for you to just say, 네, 알겠습니다. Yes, I'm going to do that. Yes, I'm going to stay overnight. It's okay. Yes, it's totally fine. I had to do work anyway. So yeah, the fear of consequences is gripping Korean society. They are really afraid of like, if I say that to my manager, he's going to flip. He's going to be really, like, he's going to go full throttle on me and blah, 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 blah. But the thing I wanted to mention here is Konde culture, which is boomer, kind of like boomer generation manager who just wants you to be as obedient as possible, because that's how they grew up, that's how they developed, and they demand the same kind of commitment from you. Commitment to them and commitment to the company. So commitment to what they say and commitment to like what the company says and orders. So I'm tempted to add it, but to be honest, like we can't control other people's behavior, right? And we're considering this from individual perspective again. So we can't really say that, oh, you shouldn't be konde. Well, konde will stay konde. Like those people, the boomer manager kind of people, they will stay boomer manager kind of people. We can't do anything about it. What we can do about it is to eliminate our fear of consequences. Like consequences that are not even visible yet. Because you can't really imagine what your manager will say unless you try at least once to do that. So that's why I think that Korea, like workers here, they are kind of entrenched in this thinking that, oh, I will suffer consequences because that's what everyone is talking about. Well, everyone is suffering, everyone is afraid of consequences. So I want to ask, if there is any Korean viewer, I want to ask you, did you ever see another Korean, another fellow worker standing up to a manager before? Probably you haven't seen anything like that. So how can you say that the consequences will be dire if you never even experienced them, at least secondhand? So that's what I'm trying to introduce in my work, my way of working. I'm not a pushover, and I'm not a pusher in for anyone, either whether it be like vendor, whether it be somebody else from another company. I'm not a pushover. Yeah, here's what I think, and you can agree or disagree, but I will stand up for myself. I'm not afraid of consequences. Bring them on. I will prove that I'm okay. I will prove that I'm professional. So I think that people who are overworking, they have to eliminate the fear of consequences. And how to do that, that is going to be an answer for another video. So I'm going to stop at this level. I'm going to finish this level. But this thing, like the level before, is going to be next video. Another thing, like inability to stand up for yourself, it comes from lack of control over your emotions and how should I put it, and behaviors. So people would love to maybe execute some kind of behavior like standing up for themselves, but they cannot control it. And as you may have seen from Korean drama, this country has a lot of anger management issues, to be honest, on all levels. So people here get angry really fast, really quickly. I think this one problem, like lack of control over your emotions and behaviors, that leads to inability to stand up for yourself, because you're just simply afraid of going insane, going crazy, and yelling at your manager, because you are not sure if you can can sustain professionalism and good attitude regardless of how much you're pushed. So people just choose to close, to isolate their emotions, and to put them in a faraway place in order to not cause any kind of like conflict, just because they cannot control it. They think that they will go completely like rage mode, berserk, and destroy something that they don't want to destroy, like their career. So lack of control over your emotions and behaviors, because trust me, if any individual could just cold blood say, yes, I don't think that that works for me today. Apologies for inconvenience, but I'm going to go home at this designated time. I am going to complete it tomorrow, so don't worry about this, and I will give you updates along the way. So if they could just communicate it like that, I'm pretty sure, like, if people were confident in their ability to communicate like that, they would actually communicate it like that. So this lack of ability to communicate, this lack of ability to professionally stand up for themselves, this is what leads to the inability to stand up for yourself, and then overworking ultimately. So this level, I told you, is going to be a dead end, so yeah, we're not going to elaborate on this. Like, it's a very simple concept. Not enough satisfaction with where you are. This is where things get interesting. Not enough satisfaction with where you are in Korean society. It comes from comparison. And at some point, I for myself decided, when I felt the pressure of Korean society, the overarching, comparison culture, I even told myself a thing which still I find it interesting that I came up with this concept when I was about 20, 21 or 22, like early 20s. I called comparison a sin for myself. I literally said comparison is a sin, and I'm not going to engage in a sinful behavior, just to fend off all this pressure to compare myself. And this issue is not only Korean issue, but in Korea it's very rampant. So I'm pretty sure people that around the world currently people have problems with Instagram, with all this kind of flashy things on Instagram and TikTok. They want to live like those celebrities, those influencers. It's not only a problem of Korea, but in Korea people literally compare, neighbors compare their kids, and that doesn't make fucking sense to me. How can you compare your kids with each other? Why would you compare? Why would you do that? I come from an Asian society, but it's not as Asian as this. This is peak Asian society. Compare your kids. Oh, my kid goes to that school and he gets A pluses. Oh, my kid gets A pluses but in another another private school, blah 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 blah. What the fuck? Shut the fuck up. So stop doing that. And this comparison in Korean society is crazy. They compare everything between each other. Girls compare their boyfriends' gifts. People compare their kids. People compare universities. People compare cars, companies, and whatnot. So I even once was told by my friend in Busan that I should not mention Busan Nation University just because it's like the best university in town. I should not mention it when I'm talking to other people because they will compare themselves and they will feel bad about me and they will not talk to me. This crazy. This is mentally deranged to do that, right? So the culture of comparison. Comparison is a sin. That's why I think that comparison is a sin, because it's like it leads to jealousy, it leads to envy and everything. And comparison in Korean culture, it comes from actually, let me give you a spoiler. Let me give it to another. Let me get to another level. Even though I wanted to stop here at this, so I'll go another level. So comparison comes from lack of confidence. Lack of confidence in yourself. The reason why there is lack of confidence, that's gonna be like, that's a rabbit hole, man. The lack of confidence comes from homogeneity. And I have to, oh wait, I have to go another level to explain. Oh my god, it's gonna be difficult. And they're not the same, they're not on the same level, so I have to explain them like one by one. The homogeneity of Korean society, it's like people go to the same cram schools, they go to the same universities, they study the same stuff, they have the same hobbies. Not many people do different stuff. You don't see a lot of skateboarders, you don't see a lot of people who draw graffiti. Yeah, you don't see a lot of unique people. They dress the same, they do the same, they want the same things. So this homogeneity of society, that comes from the lack of inner peace. So people here feel anxious when they're not doing the same stuff with other people. It's like herd mentality, yes, but Korean society, Korean people, they really try to find something that other people do. Like if everyone plays Battleground, like, oh yeah, I should play Battleground too. If everyone plays League of Legends, I should play League of Legends too. You can't find a person who played like a unique game that nobody played. Everyone played League of Legends or like what else? Battleground or Overwatch, like one of three games. Because if you play a unique game, you can't play it with other people, right? You don't fit in this society. You don't fit in this stereotype. Like you don't fit in the whole overarching like structure of the society. So people try to have the same hobbies. They try to run, they try to draw, maybe read books. And if you ask Korean people, you would be appalled at how like narrow their pool of interests might be. So yeah, it's pretty damn scary. Like let me give you an example from real life. I had a tutor who was a student at the same university, and I asked her, like she was Korean, I asked her, what's your hobby? What do you do in your free time? She said, I'm just sleeping and watching Netflix and sleeping. Yeah, and I asked a bunch of other people, like my colleague right now, he's also like likes to sleep and watch Netflix. That's it. And play football, but that's from time to time. Other colleague, he likes running. Yes, it's a little bit different. He likes going to the gym. I like going to the gym and I like running too. But I also like writing books, and I like doing videos and podcasts like I'm doing right now, streaming things, analyzing the problems. But Korean society, just trust me, when you talk to a bunch of Koreans in like the same, yeah, you just see this pattern. Like guys are into football, into running, into maybe like going to the gym. But other than that, not many people play tennis, not many people play table tennis. Yeah, it's really like a narrow pool of interests. Then who else? Well, girls are also into the same stuff, but I didn't talk to girls that much. I mean, except for my girlfriend, so I can't really vouch for that. Yeah, but anyway, it's homogeneity of society, people having the same style, the same career path, the same school, going to, you know, the same companies and everything. It leads to lack of confidence, because if you are homogeneous, if you're the same as other people, you are not confident in what you are. You're not confident that I can actually stand out, and that's why you start to compare. Because if I am the same with other people, I want to be a little bit better. It's nature. It's like, it's human nature. We want to be a little bit better. So we start to compare. Koreans start to compare like very miserable small things, small details, in the same category. So for example, if you are too different, if you're living in the West and one person likes to, you know, likes to skateboard, another person likes to paraglide, another person likes to jump with a parachute, you don't compare yourselves. You just enjoy time together if you're friends. Because how can you compare paragliding with parachuting? I mean, it sounds kind of similar, but it's completely different kinds of sports. How can you compare like breakdancing with skateboarding? And nearly everyone in the West and like in the rest of the world, they have a completely unique hobby, something that only they do, and maybe that's why it's a little bit difficult for them to find this common points of friction. But for Korean society, it's completely opposite, you know, situation. So, and inner peace. Why inner peace? That's a difficult concept. It's like a broad concept that I think is like the root concept of all these concepts. Like every other problem here comes from the inner peace. Damn. Okay, that's gonna be much more difficult than I initially imagined. Well, anyway, it's exciting. So, not enough stable families. Let me just go to this level. Not enough stable families comes from not having a good relationship culture. That's it. Because it's a purely individual problem, not having a good relationship culture. Like if you don't have a good relationship, you don't go into having a stable family. Yeah, there's nothing else. Like, no government is involved in here. If you really love each other, all you need to do from the perspective of a couple is to just marry, just register, just live together, maybe not even marry, just be together. That's all you need. So not having a good relationship culture, that's the root problem of not having enough stable families. It's not about money, it's not about status, it's not about your parents pressuring. See, it's only about you two. If you like the girl, if she likes you, she doesn't care about what her parents say, you don't care about what your parents say, you just go ahead and live your life. Even if it's a hut, even if it's somewhere not so good, you are just happy to be together. That's what it means to really love, to really be in a good relationship, and to really become a family. To be together through thick and thin, not when everything is okay, not when I have an apartment, and not when you have an apartment, not when I have a stable job, not when my parents are on the same page with me. No, it's literally about you two. For my personal example from my family, my grandpa, who is like a much more traditional Korean, ethnic Korean than me, he brought my grandma. My paternal grandpa, he brought my paternal grandma home to show her to his family, and all 7 or 8, I don't remember, more than 6 of his brothers and sisters said, nah, we don't like her. And his parents too, they said, we don't like her, you should not marry her, we will disown you if you marry her. Because the thing is, my grandma, she didn't speak Korean. She doesn't speak Korean, even though she doesn't speak good Korean, even though she is technically Korean from that generation, like really old generation. For some reason, she didn't speak good Korean. And my grandpa's family, they all spoke really good Korean, and they spoke with each other. They communicated in Korean, and that's why they didn't like her. They're like, how are we gonna talk to her? We do not like her. He didn't care. He said, yeah, I don't care. He was like Alpha, Sigma, whatever you want to call it. He was like, yeah, I don't care. It's my choice. And see, from this choice, they kind of did disown him a little bit. They didn't really leave a lot of heritage, inheritance for him. So he had to build himself his own family from ground up, and that's why yeah, but still, they did it. They did it together. They lived in poverty together for quite a while, and then they started picking up the pace. They started, making some money and stuff like that. So, is it really that makes this story makes me think? Is it really about having everything, and only then committing to each other? I don't think so. I don't think it's government involved. I don't think it's families involved. If you really love each other, if you really want to be with each other together, you don't care. So whenever people say, "Oh, it's because government doesn't help us to build a family," shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. If you really loved her, you would marry her. That's it. I mean, it's really a little bit like personal here, but I'm done sugarcoating things. I'm done sugarcoating things for people. Shut the fuck up. If you think that government is involved in you getting married, you are delusional. That's it. I'm a little bit harsh here, but I need to bring this message to all the people who are delusional. That's it. Like, I'm getting a little bit repetitive, but shut the fuck up. Wanna marry? Marry. That's it. Rise ground up together. If you start talking about, oh, my family doesn't like you, or oh, you don't have enough resources, you don't have an apartment and anything like that, go. Just let this person go. They will find better. Yeah. So yeah, here that is for today. That is it for today. I'm going to continue analyzing this problem and making sure that this mind map makes sense. I'm actually gonna call it. I wanted to make it a non-swear video, but this issue is too bad for me not to swear. Fuck that. Yeah, I'm going to name this video why Korea. Name this diagram why Korea is being fucked. Yeah, probably here. Yep, that's it for today. Thank you everyone watching. Thank you everyone watching it offline. I really hope you join in for the next stream. I'm gonna make it earlier because right now it's 2 in the morning, 2 a.m. So it's pretty late. I understand why nobody is here watching, but yeah. See you next time. Bye.